right, we're back at it with another Skills 101. This time we're going to join some together and have a nice little conversation about some intelligence.
Okay, so why exactly are we joining some together, and which ones are we joining together?
All right, so for this particular video, we're looking at knowledge, or not knowledge, because that's an old thing. We're looking at Arcana, religion, nature, and history. And the reason we're lumping them together is because they are all intelligence-based. And as I kind of always throw it in there, it's a knowledge thing. It's about getting access to knowing or remembering a certain bit of information. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds.
Yeah, a lot of times if your players want to know, do I know about this monster? You're probably going to ask them for a nature check if it's a beast, or if it's a construct, you'll be like Arcana, you know, if they're undead, religion. History doesn't really cover any monsters, I don't think, for sure, but it might cover a specific monster. Like, do I know about Gilgagrog, the ogre, right? Who's been terrorizing this region for the past 20 years.
Anything that you might put "the" in front of, or anything that something that any historical events that might have encompassed what this creature could have done, or what have you. So there is a lot of crossover with these skills, and let's just get it all out there at once, rather than trying to kind of like, oh, let's repeat ourselves over multiple videos.
Yeah, it's gonna be, because they're gonna be very similar, right? You find a sigil or a mark. Is it druidic? Well, that might be a nature check or a history check, depending on which way your DM goes.
And some might even say, like, if it's druidic, that some might say that it could be an aspect of religion as well. So there are ways that you're going to blend depending upon how you run your games and how your world is set up.
All right, so that's the basics, right? If you want to know something about a specific field of study, you're going to use one of these 4 skills, and it is going to be dependent on your intelligence score.
Absolutely. All right, now in our last video, which we talked about, Skills 101 with acrobatics, we talked about using skills with an alternative ability or an alternative stat. And we're going to go through them with these set of abilities as well. And sometimes it could be a little bit hard when something is very mental. How do you turn that into physical? In case you didn't see that video, there are times where something could come up in a skill challenge. You could be like, all right, well, you might want to make an intelligence arcana check to know about this particular construct and how it all functions. And then I want you to make a strength athletics check to try and maneuver it around the room because it's strong and bulky. But if you're trying to streamline things, you could say, well, do you want to combine your strength and your knowledge of Arcana and make a strength Arcana check to maneuver something around through such a challenge?
I would say, like other skills, it's a lot easier to come up with substitutions for the stats, right? It makes more sense to me. Mm-hmm. With intelligence skills, maybe not as much. There's some. We'll go through them and we'll see what we think about it. But if you're talking about using strength to remove roots or something like that, or weeding, you have knowledge, nature, which would tell you the proper technique, but may not necessarily lend itself to giving you the strength to do it. Mm-hmm. Or you're not going to use your intelligence to actually do the physical activity. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd be like, hey, you can use strength instead. But what I might say is, if you pass a knowledge nature check, take advantage on your check to remove the stubborn root. Mm-hmm.
And it gets very tricky when you start getting into the little nuts and bolts of things. It's like, all right, well, do you know the application and where to press, or how to press, or how hard to press? It's very situational, but there are times where it's going to come up or has the potential to come up, and then you can choose, rather than applying intelligence, you can get all kind of, physical with it and have strength apply.
Yeah, and Dex is very much going to be the same, right? Again, I'm more inclined to go with, you giving them advantage to do the task because they understand and know how to do it, but that's not always the same as actually doing it. Right. Muscle memory and memory are very different things. Where I would say maybe I might allow a physical stat to come into play is Constitution. Like using that example where you're doing something over and over again, you know how to do it, and say it's not a particularly difficult task. Like say you're weeding opposed to removing roots, right? Roots are stubborn. They're hard to get out. Anyone that has done it knows it's hard work, right? But weeding really is not, right? But maybe your weed, for whatever reason, your character needs to weed for the next 4 hours straight, right? So because it's such a mundane task for them, and maybe, for whatever reason, they have to do it in a specific way. Maybe they're creating a sigil or something out of the weeds. But they have to do it in a specific way. In this case, I might actually let them make that nature check using Constitution, because it's not that it's difficult for them to do. It's because, it's strenuous and they have to do it over an extended period of time. As a matter of fact, they might not even be allowing them. It might be more of a penalty because they might be better at intelligence. But it is giving them the bonus of the proficiency for something they might not normally get.
Along the same lines, if you're playing a Strixhaven game and you are cramming for some kind of test, that game is very much designed, to be an academic situation. So how well do you cram? Can you use your knowledge of, whatever it is that you're studying for, nature, religion, history?
They actually have
Arcana.
specific rules in there for that. I don't remember what they are.
But this is a nice alternative that you can use your Constitution for it and just see how well you can do. And maybe if you've got some, fantasy caffeine, maybe you'll get advantage on such a check, however you want to play it. So there's definitely ways to, have that worked in, or, maybe you are performing some kind of arcane ritual, and again, it's a menial task. You're not pulling weeds, but you're doing the same repetitive motion over and over again to call forth whatever it is, or to cast off something that's been done, whether you're trying to bless a farm or, bless the populace, whatever. Any way you want to play it, you can bring Constitution into it, because it is a method of endurance, or a test of endurance.
So another one is Wisdom. And at first I was like, I don't know, what do I do with Wisdom? But then I was thinking about it. So what is Wisdom? So Wisdom is going to your ability to perceive, your intuition, also your willpower, right? Say you're performing a particular activity, like, for instance, I believe you can enter a contest of wills with a sphere of annihilation to control it. I think it's an Arcana check. And I might actually allow them to use Wisdom, or have them use Wisdom instead, because it's more of a willpower thing than anything. Is
right.
Like if you're contesting it with somebody else, and that's just one. Like there's specific rules for the Sphere of Annihilation. You can just use them, but maybe it's something else in your game that you come up with, and two different creatures are vying for control of a magical device, right? And it's through either gestures or mental commands or working control panels, and maybe there's more than one. And, they're just trying to outdo the other one. If it is based off of like willpower, then Wisdom would make a lot of sense.
I would have to completely agree with that. All of that makes, a lot of sense. When we look at charisma is our ability to communicate in a variety of different methods, to persuade, if you will, and get along with others. So along those lines, again, if you're looking at a Strixhaven situation, perhaps you're tutoring another individual in one of these topics. So how easily and correctly can you pass along the information that you happen to know? Can you do so succinctly? Can you pass it on in a manner that makes sense, logically, without just droning on and providing too much information?
You could be a really intelligent and smart person, and even an expert in your field, and still be a terrible teacher.
Yeah.
But also, what I was also thinking of is someone who is performing an oratory. Especially when I think of the history skill, or because they're like recounting tales from history. So charisma would, maybe they don't care about so much being accurate, but instead they're just giving like a rousing speech or whatever. And if the player's like, can I draw on my knowledge of history? I might be like, yeah, but because you're trying to convince the crowd, give me, use your charisma skill.
Yeah.
Or if you're preaching a sermon and you're using religion, but you're really trying to instill the love or fear of God into your flock, I don't think it's intelligence that you do that with. I think it's your charisma and your passion, how much you're able to really reach people.
And the ability to convey that information and instill the confidence of whatever station you're presenting it from that your viewpoint is accurate and uplifts or, gets the correct message across.
Or you don't care about the correct message. Like, you don't care that the information's correct. You only care that you get the result that you're going for.
Sure, you can go down that road.
Like,
too.
I mean, like, come on. We all know that one person that they're so good at BSing. It's like they could tell someone almost anything and it just sounds believable and plausible.
So, hey, you like these videos, others like it, as well as all the great content you can find over at nerdarchy.com, why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
Articles like our 5e D&D skills and skill checks 101 series.
Another great way to help out Nerdarchy is to check out Nerdarchy the store and some of our great products like Dark Paths, the Forbidden Library. The 5th edition content in this book explores new, darker paths for adventurers to follow. Beginning down in one of these dark paths leads to power, but at a perilous cost. Heroes of the Dark face insurmountable odds and challenging decisions, whether it's worth the cost to fight against such forces by tapping into the same sources of insidious influence as their terrible foes. In a hidden library miles below the ground in the city, a librarian collects books slated for burning, missives never meant to see the light of day. A small complex and a vault of secrets. Those who know of the Forbidden Library are few, and those who have been inside even fewer. Included within is an adventure scenario for 4 4th to 5th level characters, 5 new creatures including the Library Drake, a new variant familiar option, 2 new subclasses, the Face Dancer and Oath of Secrets, as well as 4 new magic items.
So let us know how you use your intelligence skills in your games. Do you still call them knowledge skills the way we tend to or not? Let us know any of your favorite stories where these skills came out clutch for you down in the comments below with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and click on that notification bell. You know you want to.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos on the channel several times a week, so come on back. But you can't wait till then? No worries, we got you covered. Check out D&D Skills 101, Persuasion, Intimidation, and Deception.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.